Today I'm going to be building the biggest LEGO Marvel sets by working my way up from the smallest version of the set to the biggest version of it to see which is really the best. Okay, so for the past 2 weeks I rebuilt some of the biggest LEGO Marvel sets I own, but before we get there, this tiny little Milano is from the 2022 advent calendar, and if we scale it up we get the Milano from the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It has this pink monster that likes to throw hands and also eat you if you get too close. The ship itself has a cool feature on both sides to drop bombs. And on the inside of the ship it has some controls along with a cassette player. Now if we put the ship back on the scale we can upgrade it to the original Milano, which is a little bigger and comes with the weird chip for Ronan and his zombie looking friend. The actual Milano looks a lot better than the last one with the gaming chair on the inside and a bigger cassette player. It also has multiple ways to shoot at Ronan's ship to defeat him, and Ronan's figure looks a lot cooler than the new version. But after scaling this setup we get the biggest Milano set ever released, complete with a display stand to show off how awesome this build is. It has some great angles with very minor gaps, and if you take off this huge panel on the ship it reveals the interior. It has these 3 seats and a timeout chair in the back, along with a picture of Yondu on the wall. It also has this nice bed in the back. Oh, and don't forget the cassette player. But after some poor driving skills, the Guardians needed a new ship, and they got the Benatar, which if we upscale this tiny build, we get 2 sets from the Avengers Infinity War wave. Because to actually complete this ship, you need this smaller set, which includes this nice little escape pod that can seat all 3 figures included in the set, and this little side build for Thor to strike with lightning, and after charging it up, his Stormbreaker axe will come out. For the main part of the ship, it comes with a few Guardians and Iron Man along with Thanos himself. You also get the first ever Infinity Gauntlet and this nice stand with the Reality Stone. And if you collect all 6 sets, you can get every Infinity Stone to complete the Infinity Gauntlet and give Thanos the ability to snap away all your figures. But on the inside, the ship has these seats which for some reason can fly on their own, along with a few more seats in the back, and now after combining both sets, you can create one of the coolest LEGO Guardian ships to ever be released. And it gets even better after upscaling it to the biggest version of the Benatar, complete with yet again another display stand, and this one can spin. This one looks a lot more sleeker than the previous one, but this one doesn't have an escape pod. Instead it has these 2 engines which are far more accurate to the movie version. And then on the inside there are some seats along with a coffee maker. But this isn't all for the Guardians. If we take a look at the smallest member from the Guardians of the Galaxy, we can scale him up into this brick built version of him. He has some headphones and likes to dance very aggressively.
I think I built this wrong.
But now if we water him, he grows up into this buildable baby Groot, which has a very heavy head. He also comes with this nice display stand and a buildable cassette tape. There is also this Venomized Groot that came out, which is pretty much the same as the other one, but he's just covered in the symbiote. And this one also has the heavy head feature. And now for Groot, if we scale up a rocket minifigure, we get this buildable rocket set, which I don't own. So moving on to this cool Star-Lord helmet piece. If we scale it up, we get this buildable Star-Lord helmet, which is probably the coolest helmet set. But now moving away from the Guardians of the Galaxy, we have Spider-Man. And starting off, if we take off his head, we can actually scale it up into this nice buildable mask, which looks good, but I think mine looks better.
I can't breathe.
There's also one from Miles Morales, which I don't own and is identical but just recolored from Miles' suit. If we take out Venom's head, he can also be scaled up into this brick built head, which this version also has his tongue out. You can do the same for Carnage, which is very similar to Venom but just a different color. Now next up we have the smallest Daily Bugle set, which has an amazing figure selection, and this cool ship for Dr. Doom. The building itself has a cool exterior with this awesome screen built with an angry J. Jonah Jameson. And now if we enter the building, we have this boring first floor with probably the worst potted plant I've ever seen. The second floor has this board with a bunch of pictures of Spider-Man and a cabinet with the secret identity of Spider-Man in it. And the last floor is just J. Jonah Jameson's office with a desk and a computer. But now if we scale this up, we get one of the biggest LEGO Marvel sets ever, with a $350 Daily Bugle, which has a lot of minifigures, and some new heroes like the guy from Men in Black, Lava Girl, Catwoman, The Punishment, and a blind guy in tights. The set includes this sick taxi and a little newspaper stand. And going up the building, there is this broken window from the Green Goblin crashing through it, and this awesome brick-built Daily Bugle sign. Yo, you can't park there. If we enter the building, there are just some newspapers and a TV that has an Easter egg of Morbius. And if we go up the elevator to the second floor, this is pretty much just where they create the newspapers. And going up to the third floor, this one has 2 rooms, one for storage and printing, and the second room is where Peter Parker works. The final floor has a room with a TV playing the same thing from the screen outside, as well as J. Jonah Jameson's office. This isn't all for Spider-Man though. If we take a look at this Doc Ock that's on a budget, we can scale him up into the biggest Doc Ock set ever, which has these 2 stud shooters on each side and this dial on the top which you can turn to make the tentacles spin. They can also be taken off and used to create the biggest Doc Ock arms to ever be released. Now because of the set name, this is the smallest Sanctum Sanctorum set, and it comes with these 3 awesome figures and this spot for Doctor Strange's cape, along with some furniture to fill up the room and this red monster coming out of the wall. But if we scale this set up, we get the Sanctum Sanctorum from Avengers Infinity War. The building itself is half of the Sanctum and half of Peter Parker's apartment, and on the first half of the bottom floor it's very plain, and the other side is a nice pizza shop. The second floor has a shelf which can be broken open to reveal the time stone. Then the other side has some boxes and a desk. The final floor is Doctor Strange's main room, room and the other side has Peter Parker's apartment. But now if we scale this setup, we get the biggest Sanctum Sanctorum to ever be released, with the biggest and most accurate exterior with some cool portals in the back. And if we enter the Sanctum, we have this simple interior with a nice grand staircase. The second story is mostly open, but it has a door which has changeable locations you can go to. And the final floor is just a display room full of different treasures. This is a micro Hall of Armor. And if we scale it up, we get the newest Hall of Armor set, and this one is very small. There's only enough spots for 3 suits, and then there is this stand to repair your suits and this interesting sticker illusion. The set also comes with this Igor who has crazy hunchback. And after scaling this setup, we get this Hall of Armor with 4 places to put your Iron Man armors and also this cool car. The next Hall of Armor is this one based on Iron Man 2. It gave us our first Whiplash and also has a cool car. It comes with a few side builds in this area for them to change suits. This is so far the biggest with 8 spots to put your Iron Man armors. But if we scale it up, we get the first ever Hall of Armor, which gave us our first Mark 1 and Mark 5 along with the first Igor, who again should probably get that checked out. This one also has the suit changing area and a small desk along with 9 spots to put your Iron Man armors. You can also grab this Iron Man helmet and scale it up to the buildable Iron Man helmet set, which looks great. If you take this micro Hulkbuster build, you can scale it up to this 4+ Hulkbuster, which is the closest and most accurate in size with the Hulk. And scaling it up gives us the original Hulkbuster, who looks great for the time. And it even came with this little fence for the Hulk to hide behind. After that, we go up to the Avengers Infinity War Hulkbuster, which has this feature for throwing hands and has this cool side build. Then the next one, which is just a little bigger, has this pancake head and crazy hunchback. And if we upscale this one, we get the remake of the Avengers Infinity War Hulkbuster, which I think is a lot more accurate. Upscaling this set gives us the big Hulkbuster from 2015, which I sadly don't own. And the next setup is the $500 Hulkbuster, which again I sadly don't own, but both are great sets. Now this is another micro Hulkbuster, and if we upscale it, we get the War Machine Hulkbuster from the in-game sets, which has a bunch of cool missiles and a nice gray color scheme. This is a micro Quinjet, and upscaling it gets us the Quinjet from in-game, which looks great and has this cool feature of this hidden turret in the back and this vehicle for Hawkeye. This is another micro Quinjet, which scales up to the small Quinjet from the Avengers Tower, and scaling it up gets us the newest Quinjet that comes with a display stand and is probably the coolest Quinjet ever. If we take Thor's hammer and scale it up, we get the $100 buildable Thor hammer, and it's quite durable and looks great on display with this nice rock stand. You can do the same for Captain America's shield, but I don't own that set. And now this is a completed Infinity Gauntlet and Nano Gauntlet, which can both be upscaled into these buildable gauntlets that also both include all 6 Infinity Stones. And now for the big finale, we'll start off with this micro Avengers Tower, and scaling it up gives us this cool little promo Avengers Tower for 10 years of the MCU. And if we scale this up, we get the original Avengers Tower, which has this cool hidden drone on the top of the building, and on the inside it has a spot for the Iron Legion and a medical bed. The second floor has this room to build Ultron, and the other side is an examination room for Loki's scepter. On the top floor there's a computer room and some seats that lead out onto the landing pad. And scaling this setup gets us the 2020 Avengers Tower, which is a few floors taller and has this awesome brick build Avengers logo. On the inside there's just a bunch of random rooms like a weapons room, a place to store the bike, and more. This is the best place scaled Avengers Tower, but now for the coolest set, if we scale this up, we get the biggest LEGO Marvel set ever, with a $500 Avengers Tower. It has the most minifigures in any Marvel set ever, and the tower is insane. The outside looks great and is really accurate and well detailed. You can take off this huge panel in the front to reveal the rooms inside. It has a simple first floor inspired by the time travel scene in Endgame. Going up a floor has an Easter egg of Vision and Ultron, along with the bridge that Captain America fights himself on in Endgame. The next floor is just for Iron Man to fix suits up in, and then there's a little containment center to lock Loki up in. The top of the tower has this nice little landing pad, and it can fit this nice little Quinjet that's in the set. On the original Avengers Tower there was this really small hangout area, but this new one is very luxurious, complete with 2 TVs and 2 couches along with a small bar. Going up even higher, you can take off this panel to reveal another small room, and then you can flip this last panel up to reveal the final room that's for examining Loki's scepter. And now after that, I built some of the biggest LEGO Marvel sets to ever be released. Cue emotional music. But I didn't have all of them for this video, like the Hulkbusters or the Helicarriers, which I was originally going to put in the video. But that's okay because I have these smaller Hulkbusters. And I think sometimes when collecting things like Lego or whatever you might want to collect, we tend to always want more because that's the exciting part about collecting. But I think sometimes it's okay to just sit back and be grateful for what you already have, whether it's a little or a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It took a lot longer than normal and was very aggravating to record. If you did enjoy, consider watching another video or just listen to this fire outro.